Hello, welcome back to Aetheral Space 13.49, Into the Fold. Hello, we are back.
Was there a weird delay?
What do you mean?
There's absolutely a delay.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Alright, I'm gonna do a test here. I'm gonna say test in a second, and when I do, I want you to yell test as soon as you hear it, okay?
Okay. Test.
Yeah, there's like a 1 second delay. Whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're cooking. Is it fine?
It's fine.
I'm literally throwing up about it.
Stop throwing up on my floor. That's a new floor.
I'm barfing all over your floor.
You must stop.
The waitress is screaming. She's asking for the
Waitress,
check.
get out
I don't know
here.
why she... She's consumed by the
Stand
vomit.
back. Oh my god. The DNA's been scrambled.
Do you remember the waitress, everybody? Welcome back to Discovering SCP. Just kidding, it's Aetheral
Like it's
Space.
episode 200.
Is this? Oh my... Isn't this more like episode 400?
Yeah, there's too many Aetheral Spaces. We need to cut the shit out.
Yeah, we gotta fucking cut this novel in half. Start by taking out all the chapters about those stupid sacred beasts or whatever.
The Cardinal Beasts. They have a niche fandom.
They have a cult following.
I'm so mad about the Cardinal Beasts because I downplayed them because everyone was complaining, and I was like, they don't do anything. What do you want from me?
No, we wanted you to downplay them.
Yeah, but then I was seeing complaints as like, well, they're set up and then they don't do shit.
Shouldn't have been set up to begin with. They had no
They
reason.
never had
to
a
exist.
chance. They never had a chance from Darnell, from Picky Eater Darnell, who ruins my story.
When you build up the most hype event of all time with all the characters, and then I have to hear Oblos fight someone I've never heard of, I don't care. Okay.
This guy, he's Marvel-brained.
Not even that, because Klaus was also introduced that arc, and Klaus was fucking sick, alright? You just gave them no... I think what it is they all felt too samey except for Wolfram. Like, they all had the same goals and the same kind of arc in their fights, so it was like I was reading the same thing 3 times. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna... I don't want to talk about it.
No, Tand! Hey, look, you're a great author. Do you see how many new fans there are in Aetheral Space?
All I can see are the gaps in the crowd.
There's no way. You're fine. You're fine, right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
He's fine.
Of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's fine. We're gonna read, okay?
Yeah.
This is chapter 15.49, Into the Fold.
You see me at the bottom of the document, like, weeping, crossing out the return of the Cardinal Beasts.
No! It's gonna be like
What was I
Dragon on his
thinking?
hands and knees.
What was I
Niane's
thinking?
like, well,
What
Dragon.
was I thinking? Stupid!
Stupid! All of a sudden, Oblos bursts in. He's like, I heard you could use a hand. I know I died, but I didn't really.
It's a flashback. It's like a Saw movie. It's like da 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 da. Reveals him like
Yeah, Oblos
escaping.
gets up, unzips his head. It's Palatine.
Game over.
The fucking... Who was the swan on the ship?
The swan on the ship, the Phoenix, you mean?
Yeah, the Phoenix.
Of course, I remember her name.
Unzips her face. It's the Supreme.
It turns out you were boring after all. Game over.
Hex K, man, you're not boring.
Evil Supreme.
All right,
Like,
can we
you're
read this
boring, man. I'm falling asleep.
We're almost 4 minutes in.
Okay.
This is sad.
Read
I'm
it then.
starting. The image stared back at Musashi from the script laid on the table. Taking a deep breath, he looked up at the script's owner. So, oh wait, what should her voice be?
You tell me.
So, said Dorothy Arrow, how do you want to do this? The two of them were sitting on the balcony at a rooftop cafe called Miure, located in a fairly upmarket district of Azum-Ha. And for the most part, they were alone. Apart from the staff who'd been sworn to secrecy, the only other people in the cafe were those watching from the furthest possible table. Musashi didn't know why they bothered with the pretense of distance. Both he and Dorothy knew who they were, after all. Jamilu Aguta and Rufus von Winterburn, the Nebula from the Unified Alliance of Planets, their secret sponsors, their secret treason. Dorothy stirred her cup of tea with a spoon, soft blue aether crawling down the surface of the utensil. Stir, she commanded. Letting it go, she looked up at Musashi. Finally! 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 For the first time, we've seen a non-combat aether ability. We did it. We fucking did it. The spoon continued stirring as though still clutched by an invisible hand. Was that Dorothy Iro trying to intimidate him with her ability, or had she simply gotten so used to using all word that she deployed it for such a small task? Oh! That's cool! All word? All for word?
What do you mean?
Is it like
words?
she says a thing and it does it? This is just like the better version of Scrabble guy who had to fucking spell his word with randomized letters. That guy's a hack.
Yeah, but he would maybe get more return out of it.
Would he have
It's more
really?
difficult to get the word.
It didn't seem like he got fucking
ferociously.
jobbered. He got jobbered. Dorothy Iroh is like a contender for the next spree. Musashi couldn't say. This wasn't a woman he understood yet. Many special officers obtained reputations in their times. Ashdel Durin was known for his mastery of the killing arts, Lulele de Fleur for his brutality, Palatine for its inhumanity and overwhelming malevolence. It was a rare special officer that garnered a reputation for benevolence. The kindest special officer. The woman who'd ended the plague on Ferocia, the famine on Drengal 9, who'd brought the indivisible Shredder in without shedding a drop of blood. With these feats. What were Sukuna's feats? He's like,
The Sun and Star Clan. I remember that vividly because I went on TV Trope for some of the JJK TV Tropes page. I was looking at Nightmare Fuel, and it was like you could tell it was one guy writing them because it was like we discovered what Sukuna did. He destroyed the Sun and Star Clan. It's like, is this Nightmare Fuel? You have nightmares about that? You don't know that?
I have nightmares about it.
It's like, we discovered that he even defeated this guy and forced these guys to retreat. I'm pissing myself, I'm so scared.
Looking at Dorothy Iroh, could Musashi imagine all that? It was difficult. More than anything, Dorothy Iroh looked normal. If he hadn't already known who she was, he'd have been hard-pressed to recognize her as a special officer by sight. Black hair tied into twin braids, freckles lining her cheeks beneath inquisitive brown eyes, a blue and white polka dot dress, worn-down red shoes that had seen their share of steps. She didn't even seem to have a weapon on her. Was it concealed, or did she just not need it? She blinked at him. You like to stare a lot, huh? Musashi took a deep breath. From what I understand, our friends over there have been providing you with some assistance as well. Yep, Dorothy nodded. So really, we're meeting at their behest. Again she nodded, a lopsided smile on her face. That's about it. Musashi sighed, running a hand over his face, wooden fingers rough against his cheek. I suppose I don't need to be a genius to see the obvious move here. They both spoke at the same time. You should surrender. Dorothy blinked.
Can you say that in both voices at the same time, please? No.
How?
Voice
How?
the Legion, please. Just do
Dorothy
Sakura and
blinked.
open another mouth.
She said. Well, I was kind of expecting that, but still. No way I can convince you otherwise? Musashi shook his head. It's my ardent wish to become supreme. I won't give that up without a fight. I assume it's the same for you. Dorothy leaned back in her chair, hands on her lap. That's about the long and short of it. I've got a dream of my own, and there's no way I can achieve it without becoming supreme. What dream is that, if you don't mind my asking? Dorothy smiled sadly. This world is broken. I want to fix it. I don't see any way of doing that without rising to the very top. The same, huh? My intentions for becoming supreme are similar, Musashi said insistently. If we fight in the Dawn contest, there's a good chance the injuries the winner sustains will impede them in the next match. Their chances of overall victory will be reduced. If you agree to surrender, I can pass to the next match in a better condition than the other participants. Slowly, Dorothy shook her head, that sad smile still on her lips. It occurred to Musashi that she seemed to have come alone. Musashi had posted the faces loyal to him around the building, but he'd seen no sign of the Iroh party. Was there even an Iroh party? Or was this woman just fighting the contest all by herself? You say that, Mr. Musashi, Dorothy said, but if we're going by that logic, I'm physically in a better state than you right now, aren't I? Wouldn't it make more sense for you to surrender to me? She wasn't wrong. As a long-range fighter, she'd mostly avoided injury in her previous matches, while Musashi had suffered much the opposite. He'd been sprinting since he'd started, whereas she'd managed to get by jogging. Even so, though, he couldn't bring himself to trust her words. She said she wanted to fix the world. Musashi knew what that meant to him, but what did it mean to her? Even if he asked, and even if she told him, could he trust that answer? He had no shortage of false allies. The face of Balte Kohiro floated to the top of his mind.
Oh, that must be the guy who betrayed...
Mods.
that must be the guy who betrayed our boss Musashi.
Yeah. Yeah. Dragon's like, well... Dragon's
That's
like, well,
the
oh, well.
alternate Aetheral Space with a boss Musashi and Dragon Adrian.
They both spoke at the same time.
You've skipped ahead quite a bit there.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Kojiro floated to the top of his mind. Excuses for stubbornness. It wasn't just that Musashi knew. Even if he knew 100% that Dorothy Iroh's goal was the same as his own, he couldn't imagine surrendering, even if their ideals were identical, even if the other person had a better chance of success. They both spoke at the same time. I'll be Dorothy if you're Musashi.
Sure. I can't trust my dream
to anyone else. Far in the back, Musashi saw Jamilu sigh, saw Jamilu look away. This wasn't the result he'd hoped for, either. Musashi offered the tiniest apologetic smile to his sponsor. Dorothy cancelled the infusion on her spoon, and the stirring stopped immediately. She pulled it out of the cup, tapping it twice against the rim. I guess that's it, then, she said, her brown eyes distant. Yes, Musashi nodded. I guess that's it. Tell me again why you don't want to meet our commander, Gregory hazarded, dull red eyes glaring at the girl before him. I assume said Gregory Hazard.
Yeah.
Fool. Ibaka. Don't bother.
His presence was such that the word just came from him.
I can tell. This wasn't an interrogation room. No, it'd be more accurate to say this wasn't intended as an interrogation room. No doubt it had been intended as a storage space, as somewhere to keep goods on a temporary basis, as one room among hundreds in the great resource caches of Azun Ha. Right now, though? Right now it was an interrogation room. Serena Delsaid scowled back at Gregory from the chair she'd been tied to, hissing Neverwire bound tight around her body. Her appearance had been a surprise, to be sure, but where she'd ended up obviously hadn't been. To anyone except for her, of course. Seriously? Showing up at the enemy's doorstep, giving yourself up and asking for a private meeting? She was lucky to even be alive. Still, Gregory mused, Delsaid, huh? There's a coincidence. I told you already, Serena Delsaid snapped. I'll only talk to a toy Musashi! And why exactly should I allow that? Gregory said, circling her, hands in his pockets. You used to work with Esmeralda, right? Rebels Against the Supremacy? I wouldn't put it past you to try and kill the commander the second he shows his face. If I did that, I'd die right after, Serena replied. It'd be stupid. Maybe you are stupid, Gregory replied, his voice droll. Who can say?
You!
Oh my God, is this
you
the
can
Phantom
say!
Character? You should have had her say that. That would have been peak. He went to say something else, but before he could, he felt the telltale buzz of the communicator in his ear. Sighing in exasperation, he turned and strode out of the room, sealing the door behind him. Serena Delsaid tried to call something after him, but he didn't care to listen. Sir, he said into the communicator, the second the door closed. Hazard reporting. Toll's gruff voice came back. Hazard, is this line secure? Sure is, sir, Gregory replied, pacing the walkway as he spoke. His Aether ping, specialized in detecting the shapes of objects more than Aether itself, showed nothing of concern near him. Military training had helped refine the technique after his transfer. Marie could have invented new senses to detect enemies with, but a human like Gregory just had to make do. How's Musashi doing? Toll asked. Will he be in shape for his next match? I've observed he does his best work when near death, Gregory said, leaning over the railing. If I was you, sir, I wouldn't worry about that. My position is maintained solely by the fact that I worry. The Supremacy's position is maintained solely by the fact that it worries. If it were anywhere else, this nation would have ended with Piala the Practiced. Apologies, sir. I misspoke. What I meant was that the matter of Musashi's health won't be a problem. I see. I got a report from my man in the GID an hour ago. From what I understand, Musashi is currently meeting with Dorothy Iroh. Can you confirm? I can. They're both being sponsored by the UAP's Nebula, so I expect they're discussing which of them should surrender. You expect? So you're not there? I'm not. Musashi assigned me to guard the base while he's taking part in this meeting. The usual crowds accompanying him, Noct, Grace, and the Fellbeast. Daldurin, Hapgrass, and Silversane have been left behind along with myself. He still doesn't trust me, as he believes I'm spying for you. Well, you are spying for me, son. Gregory shrugged, a light smile on his lips. In that regard, he has good instincts. Still, he trusts me more than Acclima's goons. Myself and Ash Daldurin are trusted with tasks when Musashi's inner circle are unavailable. I can worm myself in deeper through those. I see. What sort of timescale would we be looking at? Difficult to say right now. I may be able to engineer a situation to ingratiate myself with Musashi further, which should accelerate things some. At the very least, if Muzazi wins the thing and becomes supreme, I'll be able to stand by his side. Right-hand man. That's more difficult. Mariloko had failed to eliminate Noct as Gregory had hoped, and now the boy was wary. He wouldn't make himself vulnerable to a direct confrontation, and even if he did, Gregory would likely be suspected of the slaying. No, for the time being, Morgan Noct couldn't be touched. But not impossible. I see. I'll be closing the channel shortly. Any other activities to report? Gregory glanced back at the room containing Serena Del Ced. No, sir, he lied. I see. Call if you need me. Betrayal, Gregory? What is Can you take over, by the way? I'm hungry.
Sure.
It's hard to read.
You're hungry.
I'm hungry.
The communicator clicked off, and Gregory let out a shallow sigh of relief. It wasn't that he disliked the Ascent in general. There might have been something of a mentor to him after all. But it was just that he'd be much more comfortable if Toll didn't exist. Gregory Hazard's career had taken something of a serpentine path. He started as one of the golden generation of special officers, alongside legends like Balte Kojo and Nigen Rush, but he'd never achieved the same level of notoriety as them. While they burned with glory, he simmered with quiet competence. It wasn't an exciting legacy, but it was one the higher-ups could put their trust in. And so they'd assigned her to him. Marie Hazard, the last gene tyrant living in this world, or, well, the last they'd known about at the time. She'd taken on appearance similar to his, she'd taken his name. As far as the rest of the world knew, they were brother and sister, sibling special officers fighting against criminals and corruptions. Those had been fun times that had impacted Gregory deeply. So deeply. Seeing who Marie was, seeing what she could do. Once she'd been reassigned, being given her own missions, Gregory just couldn't go back to his previous career. He'd switched tracks, joining the Supremacy military, quickly climbing the ranks until he became one of Ascendant General Toll's personal agents. One of his honest men. Amusingly enough, Gregory supposed that he was now the last honest man. What a joke. Honest man, special officer, warrior, agent, servant. The more you climbed through life, the more titles and roles you accumulated, more expectations and limitations. Some people said that life was the accumulation of countless burdens, followed by death, but Gregory couldn't abide that idea. To him, the purpose of life should be to shed burdens, to discard everything that displeased you, that weighed you down, until all that remained was the very core of your being. The human heart, light as a paper aeroplane. Gregory looked back at the door to the interrogation room, folding his fingers into razor-sharp claws of paper moon. It said that he'd create a crisis to bring himself closer to Muzazi. Was this the opportunity? Serena Del Ced was aetherless right now. He wouldn't get a better chance. If he dressed up the scene, he could probably get away with... He unfolded his fingers. That would be a bad move. If he acted right now, it would only be due to a fear of inertia. And that was something else he'd hoped to toss away. So long as he was patient, so long as he was clever, so long as he chose his chances well, he'd shed those burdens. He'd pry open his own chest and pull his heart free from its humanity.
What are his goals?
Revolver Ocelot!
Dun dun dun.
Gregory really hasn't betrayed someone for 5 minutes.
He didn't, though. Well, he betrayed Toll, I guess, but fuck Toll.
He's already consistently betraying Muzazi, though, by giving him that information.
Lord have mercy.
And he did betray Morgan.
No. Do you have time for more questions?
Sure. I got 5 minutes from here.
Rurum asks, since they're out of the competition, what's the story of God Denier?
God Denier was a Knight of Reason in the Final Church, so if you don't remember them, they were they LARP as atheists. They're not really atheists, but they're like the devil's advocate on the council. But he took it a little too seriously and became like an actual anti-theist, who was like, God exists and I need to find him and kill him. So basically, not very
God
stable.
Denier! But he died.
Yeah, so that didn't work out for him.
Did he die or did he surrender?
He perished.
What was his power?
His power allows him to imitate miracles he's seen. So if he sees something that he can't explain, it becomes a miracle that he can deploy as an ability.
Talk about a miracle tag.
But if he like even conceives of an explanation for it, he loses that power.
Damn. Quaker Buttonnose asks, what is the rough percentage of Supremes who ascended by killing their predecessor versus Supremes who ascended by winning a Dawn contest?
It's roughly 50-50, I would say.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe even
Quaker
40,
also...
60. Because the thing is, with this, is like...
You have to prove you did it.
Also, when you kill a Supreme, there's often a very quick chain of people killing you and someone killing them. Because the Supreme is rarely alone.
Yeah, that's true. Because, like, otherwise, Dragon would have just killed Skipper and or said he killed Skipper and became Supreme automatically.
Well, yeah, it's like, they're not going to just take your word for it.
Yeah. Damn. Dragon should have brought back the head. Been like, look what I did with my Gemini railgun.
But he was also, like, near death at the time.
Yeah, true. Quaker asks, what is the... also Quaker asks, has the Supreme Heir ever become Supreme?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the percentage on that?
It's low. It's a rare thing.
How many Supremes have there been?
I'm not going to tell you that, because I don't want to put a number on it.
Fair enough. Is it above or below 100?
It'll be below.
Below, okay. Good day. Or sorry, Rurum asks... Oh, never mind. Good day asks, we know of giant tardigrade and paleo beasts. What are some other fauna within the AS universe?
Humans.
Unique fauna?
You don't think humans are unique?
Tanhoney?
Yeah.
Puts a gun to your head. Give us a fauna.
Takes a bite out of your gun.
Okay.
Sigma. Roof.
Sorry, good day. I guess your question is rendered moot by Tanhoney.
Well, I don't know. There's fucking all sorts of shit. There's jellyfish. Big jellyfish.
That already exists.
Yeah, but they fly.
Do they fly in space?
They can.
If they choose to.
They die.
It's bold of them,
die
though.
shortly after. They die shortly after.
Oh, that's actually sad. They're like jellyfish that fly, and some like keep flying until they're in space, and then they freeze.
Yeah, they solidify into rock.
And they can like hit your starship and scrape it up. Yeah, the jellyfish stopped thinking. Alright, Lan asks, why does Crestpool have a civilian population considering it's one big gas siphoning operation?
Because you need people to work there, and when people work there, they need businesses to accommodate them, and it accumulates humanity like moss on brick.
Alright, and then one final question, then we're caught up. Quaker asks, were the mothers of any of Henry's kids notable figures?
They were not.
Okay. Thank you all for watching. We are finally caught up with Aetheral questions.
Woo!
We'll see you next time.
Bye.